Hey there, I'm Paul. This is my little JuniorMaker James. Today we're going to show you how to build the JuniorMaker by PaulTheMaker Birdhouse Kit. This is what you should have bought and got with your kit, which will have all the parts you need, except for a screwdriver, a Robertson, that's a square bit, number 2. That's the only tool you'll need to build this. Everything else comes in the box. And in the box you get the front piece, 2 slanted side pieces, box with all the hardware, all the screws that you need. The small piece is the bottom of the box. This piece is the roof. And the last piece is the main back piece of board. That's what we're going to start with. You hold on to that please, James. I'll move these out of the way. And you'll notice on the back piece there are some pre-drilled screw holes. And on one side of them they're countersunk, where James is pointing here. If you flip it round, see on the other side, it's just flat where those holes are. So we're going to put the screws, once we get going, we're going to put the screws through, starting on the side where the countersinks are. That's so the heads of the screws sit flush with the board. Okay, so let's get our screws out. We're going to need 5 to put in these holes. There's 2 other holes drilled from the other side. They're actually going to be for mounting your birdhouse when it's finished, so we're not going to worry about those yet. So here, I'll give you a couple of screws. We're just going to start them in these holes. You can just start them with your fingers, just to make sure they're lined up. You just start and turn them a tiny bit, just to get them started. It's just easier to do it that way. And then we're going to use the screwdriver to drive them through. But we're going to drive them through so the points are just starting to protrude. I'm going to help James by holding it here. And I'm going to tell him, keep going, just a bit more. Touch more on that one. Okay, until the point just comes through. Hang on, James. I'm just going to hold that there. Hopefully you can see on the camera that point is just sticking through. That's going to help us line up the pieces when we get there. Let's keep going with the other screws here. I'll tell you when you can stop. It is kind of handy if you can have someone else help you hold the pieces. That one's good. Now we'll do this one. And I suggest doing it with it sitting up like this rather than pointing down at the table, because otherwise these points of the screws can scratch the surface you're working on. You could always just use a piece of cardboard on the table or something like that to protect the surface if you need to. That's it, James. Keep going a little bit more. Yeah, that's good. One last one. This first step. Good. Okay, then we need to find one of our side pieces. Now this little cutout here is actually to allow for ventilation of the birdhouse once it's all together. And we need to figure out which side this piece goes on. I can tell you it's going to go this way. We're going to line it up with these 2 screws. You see the 2 holes here. Going to line it up with those 2 points there. We have to make sure that this hole here, the countersink, is on the outside. If I put this on this side, you'll see there's no countersink there. The countersink's on the inside, so you know you'll have to switch sides. So I'm going to switch it to that side, and again I'm going to hold it for James. That I'm going to screw those. These can go all the way in. Snug it up. It doesn't need to be really tight. The box will be plenty strong with the screws that are in it. You don't want to over tighten them and split the wood or anything like that. Just make sure there's no gaps kind of along here once it's all screwed together. Okay, then we're going to get the second side piece, and it will line up like this. You'll notice it kind of slots into place with the tips of those screws. Okay. If you find the screwdriver slipping, like it is with James, it means you are not holding the screwdriver quite straight with the line of the screw. So you need the screwdriver straight up and down. If you have it at a bit of an angle, then that can make it trickier and it'll slip. It just means it takes a little bit longer to screw them. It doesn't matter. You're not gonna harm it. And the more you do, the more practice, the better you'll get at it. Good. We've got no gaps there. We've got no gaps there. We have this one last screw, which is going to be for the bottom piece. So here's the bottom piece. It doesn't matter which way, if it goes that way or this way. It won't fit that way. Then you're going to slide it into here. You may need to bend this open just a little to make it easier to slide in. And that screw tip is going to line up with that hole. Slide it in. Just make sure it's lined up here and here. Then you can flip it this way and put that screw in. Good. Then we'll flip it on the side and put the screw in here from the sides into the bottom piece. Good. Flip it over again. While James is tightening that, you will notice there are some longer screws with your hardware kit. These are the ones that are going to be used, you can use to mount the birdhouse to a tree or a fence post or the side of your house or wherever you're mounting your birdhouse once it's finished. Good. Okay, now we're going to go to the front piece, which is the piece with a big hole in it for the birds, and it needs 3 screws. So here you go, James, you can start a couple of those. Same thing here, we're just going to put them through until they just start to stick out the other side. And again, watch out, don't do it on the table pointing down unless you've got some cardboard or something to protect your table. I'm going to turn it this way just so they can see. And yeah, that's just coming through. You can back it off a little bit from there actually. It's sticking through just a little bit too much. That's good. Okay, then let's do this one. Try to hold it so you can reach it and you can show on the camera what's happening, which we're probably not doing very well here. There you go, that's good. Then this last one here. Okay, that's good. Then you're going to line that up and put it on the front of the birdhouse. Those 3 screws will line up with those 3 holes. You just kind of place it on gently and just you'll feel it kind of slot into place as you jiggle it. There you go, good. And I'll hold it for James while he screws these ones down. You may find you need to squeeze the sides a little just to make sure it lines up. This is good. Once you screw it down, that will squeeze that joint a bit tighter, James. There you go. That's good. Now we've got a little bit of a gap here, so this one we're just going to tighten up a little bit more just to squeeze that gap closed. Yeah, that's good. Okay, then our last piece to go on is our roof. Again, countersunk holes. We can start putting our screws in here, James. A couple for you to start. Okay, that's right. through until they're just poking through again.
Go right there.
That's good. Okay. Flip it over. Okay, that's good. Let you back that one off just a little bit. I'm sticking out a little bit too far. That's pretty good there. Okay, and the last one. That's good. Okay. Then we get our birdhouse, and then the roof piece. Again, it will just wiggle it until it lines up. The roof is just a little bit wider than the birdhouse, so it will be sticking out on either side. That's just to protect these vent holes from the rain. Okay, now let's screw those down, please, James. Good.
Almost there. Last two. And almost there. And last one.
Sorry, honey, just moving it over a little bit.
Okay. Ooh. Sliding. And boom. There we go.
And great. That is your kit completed. Now remember, there's the two longer screws that you can put through there to mount it to wherever you're putting your birdhouse. Something I did forget to mention about the bottom piece. There is these little corners were cut off the bottom piece. So there is these little gaps. That's on purpose, so that if there is any moisture gets inside, it can drain out the bottom, so that it doesn't fill up like a big puddle inside. Now, you're welcome to paint or decorate your birdhouse however you wish, whatever you think the birds you're hoping to attract will like, or just so it looks pretty in your back garden. That would be great too. Anyway, we hope you enjoy building your kit. Thanks very much for watching. Bye.